We all know him, we all respect him, well, most of us love him. The only dinosaur in the entire franchise that actually has its own theme song. A menace that was the first T-Rex killer ever shown in the franchise. His glory was so boundless that to this day people still can't stop crying about it beating a T-Rex. Instead, always referencing the real animal since it would lose to a T-Rex to make themselves feel better. Kevin may have been the undisputed king of Sorna, but what about Isla Nublar? With the introduction of a Caucasian bipolar hybrid and the strongest T-Rex of the franchise in their prime, how would 87 manage? Back in his original home, the most he had to worry about was the average T-Rex and raptors, which he could easily dispatch, well, unless he met Buck and Doe at the same time, because even he can't win that 2v1. Anyway, in this video we're going to be plopping 87 on Isla Nublar just as the Indominus Rex broke out, so he isn't really going to be interacting with a lot of the creatures we've seen Camp Cretaceous, but I'd argue the only things on land that would be able to pose a real threat to him on the island at the time would be Rexy. But before we get into that, consider hitting that subscribe button so your boy can keep making these videos that I totally don't come up with when I lucid dream after abusing melatonin gummies. Listen to your mother's kids, read labels. While you're doing that, follow me on TikTok. I'll start posting some short form content I've been working on this Saturday, so you don't want to miss it. Hold on, we're not done yet. If you like to yap about anything prehistoric like a nerd and enjoy displaying your art, drop my Discord in the description. You could even help with some content for future videos. With the introductions finally over, let's get on with the video. For this, I'm going to be using 87's Camp Cretaceous size because it wasn't too long after the events of Jurassic World that he was placed on Manticore's island. And like all my hypothetical videos, I'll be listing the strengths and weaknesses of the main star before assessing the other characters. The Spinosaurus is to this day the most hateful dinosaur when it comes to humans. He hates our species so much that he doesn't rest or sleep until he knows our kind is dead on the island. But you can't really blame him, considering he was just a legal project by Henry Wu, and after all that testing he was dumped out into the wild along with the other predators in Sorna. At the time he would have been a juvenile between 20 and 25 feet, so he was not yet the biggest and baddest thing there. He still had to compete with some of the Rexys and the populations of raptors that are still to this day the most terrifying versions we've seen in the films. Despite this, he was able to climb the ranks and eventually become the top dog on Isla Sorna, becoming so powerful that he apparently could over time cause an extinction event on the island. At the time of Jurassic Park 3 he was over 45 feet and roughly 8.4 tons. During Camp Cretaceous he was now over 50 meters and pushed 10 tons, and seemed to move even faster than he did when he was smaller. Whether it was to add cinematic effect or something else, who knows, but if I was running in a group and I was Darius, I would be pushing someone down to slow him down, or tripping one of the Spinoceratops. I don't care what you people say, those red-eye weirdos are not cute. Even with this size you'd think that at least his sail could be hurt, but nope, after he rolled over it with his 10-ton weight it didn't even bend. While we're on the topic of durability, the only other dinosaur I can think of that outclasses him in that is Rexy. This guy always, and I mean always, shrugs off T-Rex bites. They don't make him slower or anything. Yeah, he is in pain because it's a damn T-Rex crushing his neck, but after that he doesn't show a limp or show any signs of injury. I did make this mistake in previous videos, as it turns out that plane in fact did not hit his sail. Some of the comments under my most recent video with him said that it actually hit his upper leg. And when we look at the animatronic, there is in fact a gash you see there, so thank you guys for pointing that out. But regardless, taking a hit from a plane to the leg and not sustaining an injury that will cripple you is impressive. And then there's of course, as I said, tanking bites from an adult T-Rex in the franchise, and just leaving with some bruises. And yes, it is confirmed that Bull was an adult T-Rex in the movie, so stop saying he was a juvenile. What more will you T-Rex fans take from us, huh? Isn't it enough that your favorite animal is the largest and most powerful terrestrial predator to ever walk the earth, and is getting a constant strength buff every year? While our Spinosaurus, while still cool, don't get me wrong, keeps getting put lower and lower in terms of fighting capability each year. So let us have this one core memory of our former glory, even though it's fiction. But speaking of fighting capability, 87 is the most skilled and has the most battle experience of any other megaceropod in the franchise. The only thing Rexy has ever fought before Jurassic World was two raptors. Like the Indominus, that was her first time fighting another theropod of her size in Jurassic World. The only other one that could match him would be Zeb, although I don't think the prologue Giga was him back then. If it was, then that would mean that he fought T-Rexes over the period of his life, due to the Giganotosaurus and T-Rex somehow coexisting in the Jurassic universe. But since that probably wasn't Zeb, the Spinosaurus still takes this category. He grew up from a juvenile to an adult on Sorna with raptors and T-Rexes, and possibly even the Ceratosaurus. He's also fought multiple different adult Rexes over his life, which would be Bull and Big E.T. There is also the possibility that he may have fought another, because Eric himself said that the T-Rex urine attracts this freaky ass dinosaur. He basically washed both T-Rexes too. Even after Bull got a perfect setup for a finishing blow by getting a prolonged hit on 87's neck, the Spinosaurus just said that's enough and held the Tyrannosaur in place and snapped its neck like it was nothing. And in Camp Cretaceous he kinda does somehow at least fracture the vertebrae in her neck with just his bite force. And for something that's canonically supposed to have the weakest bite force of the big theropods, This day is the only one that put down a T-Rex with just his bite force, even though it was temporary. No claws or no terrain advantages, just a snap. As for when he lost at the end, put yourself in his shoes. You were being mind controlled and starved for days, and then all of a sudden you regain consciousness, just to see a 8.5 ton T-Rex running at you at full speed while you're catching yourself. So even though he got scared off by Big E.T. and Little E.T. at the end, still would say he wins if both of these guys were aware of each other's presence. Endurance is another category he takes. My guy got hit by a plane, then moments later tracked down said plane and tore it apart, then chased after people for a decent distance, and not too long after had to fight a full-grown bull T-Rex. The only reason he didn't chase Grant and the crew after killing the T-Rex was because he just couldn't keep on the chase. I mean, could you after doing all of those side quests? With that said, it doesn't hold him back for long. He is somehow able to track these people down no matter what part of the island they're on. This thing just always popped up. Do you know the type of hate you have to carry to travel that far? This is generational hate. The only other character I could think of that carries this much malice in their heart for everyone even though they're innocent is Jason. The only disadvantages I can see 87 having is his center of balance and aggressive nature. The balance thing isn't really a big issue, but I did notice that whenever he comes close to tipping over, he uses his arms to ensure he doesn't completely collapse. But again, a T-Rex ramming into something would make the biggest carnivores roll over. As for the aggression thing, well, it's fine on Sorna, but if you were to face a stronger predator and just charge at it, he would die from the interaction. And if you were to do this to Buck and Doe when they were there, then he'd get clapped. But could all of these feats keep him alive on Isla Sorna with the upgraded Hellspawn? Let's find out. Well, Rexy is now 2 tons heavier in the events of Jurassic World compared to Jurassic Park. Although she has lost her car chasing speed since the size increase, she can't outrun a fit person. She has gotten stronger for sure though. Going toe to toe with an upgraded version of a Rex in basically every other aspect, she is also more durable than 87 in my opinion. She got absolutely torn apart by the Indominus Rex and then got her head stomped on by a 10-ton Giganotosaurus, not to mention the volcano poisoning. As for the Indominus Rex, well, she's something else on her own. The smartest and most manipulative dinosaur ever created in the franchise. Only Jurassic Park's 3 raptors and the Indoraptor can come close. This
melanin deficient calcified pineal devil
was able to deceive humans on numerous occasions and even manipulated the raptors. Yes, that was manipulation, she didn't give a damn about them. They were just scapegoats so she could escape, because she knew even she would get put down if that military team was on her. So she had to have the raptors distract them. Hell, in the end when Blue refuses to kill Owen for her, she slaps the raptor and almost kills her. Then looks back at the remaining 2 basically saying this is gonna be you if you go against my orders. Basically saying this is gonna be you if you go against my wishes. In her fight with Rexy, she was getting overpowered in the beginning, but the moment she placed her hand on Rexy's shoulder, it was over. She slammed the old girl on the floor and tore into her like a pit bull with an unattended toddler. And without the backup from Blue and plot armor, Rexy would have been another statistic on the T-Rex mortality list of this franchise. Even after the Indominus was trashed around while having a steroid raptor tear into her where she can't reach, she was able, or at least was willing, to continue fighting when there was a piece of metal sticking out of her. However, she wasn't required for future installments, so she was taken out in the most badass and at the same time dumb way. This monster, because I refuse to call this abomination a prehistoric aquatic reptile, leaped out of the water and grabbed her on her neck. And even the initial force of that didn't kill the Indom. She was still alive while being dropped in the lagoon, only dying due to drowning or being torn apart underwater. This is something the Spinosaurus is also going to have to watch out for. He was the undisputed ruler in Sorna's waterways and around the sea, but the moment he steps into that lagoon, he's got demoted. I don't even think I'll have to go into the Mosasaurus stats. She outweighs him by a significant amount and is a full-time aquatic predator and is faster in water. Alright, so let's finally place a dinosaur that's racist towards humanity on an upgraded Sorna. Assuming that he was let out or possibly even escaped somehow like the other big theropods, no herbivore would be able to stop him. The Ankylosaurus, Triceratops, and even the sauropods likely won't be safe, since even some of the people who worked in the movie said that he could have caused an extinction event on the island. I would like to think that this would also include the massive Brachys on Sorna. Yes, he can't kill everything at once, but over a certain period of time, so I assume he would be able to take down the smaller and more dopey Apatosaurus that have the survival instincts of a shoe. If he was let loose, he would have been a bigger menace to the kids than the Indominus Rex. The Indom may have stopped at the water, but this dude would have done an Olympic dive. Okay, not a dive, but probably venture down and make sure those 2 are dead in the water. This of course would mean that he would eventually come into contact with the Indominus. He is heavier than the Indominus and has more battle experience, but she is more intelligent and has better arm strength. The Spinosaurus has a lot of arm power, I'm not saying he doesn't. After all, he snapped a Rex's neck easily and briefly held back an industrial sliding door that would output 5 or more tons of weight when closing. We see her send a 4+ ton truck airborne for 4 seconds with just 1 swing, and she wasn't even trying. Not to mention how quickly she overpowered Rexy once she got her hands on her. Although I think the Spinosaurus is more durable and has the edge in endurance. Despite this, no matter how much I like 87, I think he loses to this one. In the real world, weight usually decides the winner in the animal kingdom, but this is fiction, and the Indominus, while being smaller, still has more advantages when compared to 87. It would be a tough fight, but the Indominus would likely eventually put him on the floor, and with her intelligence, she would notice that the sail might be weaker than the rest of the body and target that. She herself would likely get torn up though. While not as long, 87's claws are thick and likely more durable. Not to mention 87 has a massive bite force based on the Camp Cretaceous portrayal, but I don't think that would save him in the long run. We've seen how easy the Indominus is able to get out of neck bites, and she has longer reach with her arms and will likely claw at 87's face, which even he can't ignore. I mean, they're basically sickles staring at his eye. As a matter of fact, those sickles can pierce bullet resistant material very easily. In the off chance that he does escape, I guess he could survive if he doesn't die from blood loss, and if he somehow ends up at the lagoon and jumps in to escape, the Mosasaurus is just gonna maul him and take him out. I can't really see a scenario where Rexy is let out at the same stage, but let's just say that she is. The Spinosaurus is gonna win this one. Is he gonna have a harder time compared to Bull and Big Edie? Yes, but he still has more advantages. The only thing Rexy has over him is bite force and durability. Oh, and ramming strength. And while not nearly as much as the fans make it seem, she was a little emaciated in the first film compared to Dominion, so she likely isn't gonna be able to bring 87 down on her own. He still is larger, stronger, faster despite being larger, and has more battle intelligence. But again, it isn't going to be as easy as when he was fighting the other Rexes. After the fight, he's definitely going to have to sit in a corner and recover. And even though this is very unlikely, if the three of them were to do an all-out battle royale, the Spinosaurus would likely come out on top with Rexy. With how the story of this franchise has been going so far, it would likely be something where bitter enemies come together to beat a common enemy, so Acid 87 and Rexy would somehow work together to kill the Indominus Rex. Probably with how the Spinosaurus team and Rex will do for the D-Rex in Rebirth. Then after the win, they'll walk away and tolerate each other, and they all have a happily ever after as Blue watches everything in the corner like a cuck. Would they tolerate each other long? Probably not. I'd say that they'd get into a fight sooner or later like Zeb and Rexy, but overall if he encounters the Indominus first, he's likely not going to survive, and he's likely not going to encounter Rexy because after the Indominus kills him, Rexy's going to be let out by Claire to try and deal with the Indominus. That is if the Indominus hasn't been too wounded by the Spinosaurus. But if he does fight Rexy, he wins. So overall, because Nublar is smaller than Sorna, he would eventually run into the Indominus Rex and get killed more than likely. But in the off chance where the directors pull a Dominion and have him team up with Rexy, he survives because even if he has beef with Rexy later on, he is gonna overpower and put her down, making him the new ruler of Nublar until InGen picks him up. Because there's nothing else other than the Mosasaurus that can stop him. Not Red, not the Baryonyx trio, not Toro, and not even the Scorpius. Although its venom could possibly make the Spinosaurus see scent and smell color. So yeah, that's honestly my verdict. A little confusing, but it's the best way I could put it. But let me know what you guys think. Would Acid 87 stand a slight chance, or would he just dominate the island? Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on TikTok. I'll see you guys in the next video.